Don't wait to be discovered. This is a big common problem that a lot of artists will make, is that they think that if they just keep posting really hype artwork or build a big enough following, that they'll, quote, get discovered and then somebody will provide an opportunity for them. This kind of thinking is fantasy, it's fiction. Don't wait to get discovered by somebody else. When I was 16 years old, I got rejected from comic book company after comic book company, so I started self-publishing. It started out just printing my own comics at the local copy shop and then selling them to kids at school, and then eventually found opportunities with professional indie comic book publishers to self-publish my own comics when I was 16, because I wasn't going to wait around for somebody else to make the opportunity for me. Do not fall into the trap of waiting for somebody else to, quote, discover you. That pretty much only happens in the movies. Learn to be resourceful, learn to do it yourself. If what you really want to do is make albums, then make an album. Even if you're not skilled at drumming and recording and all that stuff, still just make your first album. If you're trying to make a comic, just make your own comic. I mean, I did it in the 90s, and that was, well, let's just say it's way easier to do that kind of thing now. And back then, that was before the internet, right? So it was like, maybe somebody would have talked sense into me online and said, well, you're just too young. You're too young. But that's not true. We have YouTubers that are younger than that now that are hugely successful, so age doesn't really matter. What really matters is whether you can perceive the opportunities that are all around you everywhere you look. So yes, tools change and industry standards change. We're no longer using puppets in film the way that they did in the 90s. They were no longer using hand-drawn on paper concept art the way they did in the 90s. And almost all comic book coloring is done digitally now. And now we're seeing the advent of even new technologies that are coming into fruition and becoming very commonplace. And truth be told, you adopt some of these new technologies, and some of the old guard and some of the older ways of thinking are going to ridicule you for them. I remember going to Comic Cons with a digital monitor, a display, and this was in the early 2000s, so like 2007, going to a Comic Con and setting up a big 30-inch display and showing time-lapse videos, which is what you see on my YouTube channel. I was doing this before YouTube existed. I was just doing it at comic book conventions. And you'd think, oh man, that's really cool, But I was being ridiculed by other artists in the artist alley. They were making fun of me for doing this. But what I saw was that it's just really freaking cool to see artwork come together in a time-lapse fashion, or even real time, And so that's what I started doing as soon as I could on YouTube when it became available. And so I never got caught in this trap that I hear many artists say, or creatives. They get caught in a trap where they start saying, well, I can't get experience doing something until somebody gives me a job, and then I can develop the experience. No. You need to just go out and get it yourself. Go out and get the thing yourself. And what that means is look at the landscape of, let's say, for instance, indie games or mobile games. Yeah, sure. Okay, so maybe some people might be losing their jobs right now in some of these industries. These are ebbs and flows. When you live long enough, you start to see stock markets go up, certain job availabilities go up, and then they go down, and then they're not available anymore. Housing markets go up, then they go down. All these things are ebb and flow, and you need to be able to adapt to all of those situations. You need to be able to be prepared to adapt to all those situations. Never put all of your eggs in one basket. Never tell yourself, oh, it's only this company that I can work for or want to work for. Be malleable and be aware of why people are hired in those roles and where the trends are going, especially if you're in design or character design or environment design, or if you're working in an industry that's very tech heavy, such as the video game industry. Be forward thinking. And so don't just limit yourself to being just an artist that can only do art in the way that it's been done for the last 20 years or something. Here's a great example. Right now, we're seeing a little bit less of a demand for illustration in the video game industry, but we're seeing a massive demand for animators, and we're seeing a massive demand for visual effects artists, and we're seeing a massive demand for artists who understand Unreal Engine or technology. So if you're a 2D artist, like, take interest in Unreal Engine, take interest in Unity Engine, take interest in being more technical about what you're doing, and find a way to adapt to the needs of how things are transforming. Don't get stuck in the way that things had always been before. And this is true no matter what age you are or where you are. And certainly change is a frightening thing. It's like, well, hey, that thing I'd always wanted to do, well, now it's different. Well, that could be, it doesn't have to be devastating. It can actually be something that you adapt to. It can actually be something that you embrace. It can actually be something that you look at and say, well, if the needs of these companies is just shifting, well, I still want to be useful to them. And it's sad to see people just throw in the towel or just give up or quit when there's actually more need than ever for artists who are adaptable, artists who are capable of taking on the technical challenge of making art that works within an engine or is optimized within an engine, and become an expert in those things. And it can be fun. It doesn't have to be something scary. Like, how cool would it be to see some of your character designs translated into 3D? Like, learning some 3D tools can be exciting for you, and then learning to optimize those models, and then learning material construction and learning how to light your models and your environments. I mean, there's such a shortage of technical artists that understand how to make useful content for game development. And yet you've got a lot of 2D artists, people that only do 2D, that are very upset because of things changing, you know. And that's just for existing markets. That's not even touching on markets that haven't even really developed yet. You know, you're talking about, like, we're really at the beginning of this forefront of augmented reality and the sort of combination of how a creative can utilize emerging tools and emerging technologies to double their proficiency and create entire new markets and new industries and new ways to entertain people. At the core, being a creative is about entertaining people, making them feel something. You know, don't lose sight of that, you know, by constricting yourself to saying, well, I only do this one thing, and that one thing seems to be, you know, having the most amount of competition. It's like, okay, so go to the place where there's less competition and really establish yourself and build a market there. That's been the way that I've thought, I would say, since I was a teenager, since I just got started as a professional artist, a professional creative, and it's never let me down, man. Everywhere I look, I see so many underutilized opportunities for creatives to really build a foundation. And it's not like we're not seeing new successes. I mean, look around you. You see new success stories on Instagram. You see new success stories on YouTube. You see people popping up out of nowhere that are creating new technologies, or they're creating new products or new ways to entertain people. And that in and of itself should show you, hey, look, there's no excuses, man. Yeah, sure, it's a lot of competition out there, but there's also equally new opportunities for innovation that you could be embracing, and new types of products and ways that you could put your art onto things, or ways that you could develop your skills that would become very hireable and very useful. Just always ask yourself, what do people want? What do they want so much that they'll pay for it? And why do they want it? If they want it because they have to feed their customers, well, then all you have to do is make yourself somebody that can provide a service that they need to make their customers happy, and you will have instant built-in demand. But the most important thing that I want you to get from this video is to not look for somebody else to discover you. Don't look for somebody else to pave the road for you. If you're not getting opportunities at video game studios, start making your own games. Learn the ins and outs of an engine. Pick any one, pick any engine and make a small project. I guarantee you that you will establish yourself within your mind. If you finish these projects, you will establish yourself in your mind as a game developer, and then you'll find yourself with more opportunities after you've proven that you're resourceful and that you don't wait for somebody else to make it easy for you. I have been pitching Metroidvania to various game studios for 20 years. And now this year, I've actually got funding from a very great publisher, and we've got a team of 5 people. We're working every day on this Twilight Monk Metroidvania that I'm working on. And that's because I was very vigilant. I just kept coming back. I wouldn't take no for an answer, and I just persist. Like, it's in my soul. I can't not do it. It doesn't feel like I'm living if I'm not pursuing the thing that I'm dreaming of doing. And any rejection that I've faced to get here has only made me come back stronger. And this goes for multiple facets of creativity. If you want to make an album, don't sit around and wait for somebody else to set up the drummer and line up the recording equipment, somebody who's more tech savvy than you. No, get out there, actually get yourself some recording software, learn to input your audio into a video or audio editing program, start making songs, start recording things. If your goal is to make a comic book, start making pages, do a 6-page story, something small, and then put it together and print it out at the local copy shop and give it away to your friends, or follow my Making Comics workshop that'll teach you how to get your ideas into a final printed book that's sold and distributed on and by Amazon. Like, it's super easy these days if you just apply yourself, but don't sit around and wait for somebody else to do that for you. You have to really buckle down and start to schedule time in your schedule to make sure that you're making it happen, make your dreams happen. That's what I'm here for here on my YouTube channel. So if you do like this kind of more motivational type of content, I'm here to help you achieve your art dreams, your creative career goals, and overall just to enjoy art, throughout the creative process. It's just such a fulfilling experience to have in your life, and I would hope to share that with as many people as I can. So please do subscribe here on my YouTube channel, and if you're really serious about concept art for video games, learn what they need through many of my workshops over there on Gumroad, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for stopping by, and ciao.